Well, hello again, YouTube, and all my awesome viewers and subscribers. We're going to talk about the obvious here, the snorkel. So here's the deal. I filmed the entire install of this snorkel. I filmed the whole thing, and the idea was to obviously put that video out there for you guys. So hopefully this would help you to install your snorkel, and you won't really go through the trouble that I went through to install this. So I'm going to give a few tips, a few tricks, a couple of things that you're going to need up front. That way you can gather everything up you need, you know how to do it, and you can just hammer on it and get it done in like one day. This is for a late 80s, I want to say it's late 80s, early 90s Toyota Land Cruiser. It's a T80 snorkel. It seems to be the most popular ones that everybody runs on these CRVs. So this is the T80 snorkel. And I'm kind of disappointed because it was supposed to come with a black clamp for that, and it didn't. And what I have here is the 1320 inline filter. I got both elbows and these 6-inch intake pipes and the couplers and everything, all from the auto parts store, and just kind of put it together like that. So what do you need to do to get this sucker on there? Well, I will tell you, it comes with a paper template so you know where to put your bolt holes. Now that works a little bit, but the bolt holes are kind of off a little bit because obviously it's not made for this fender, so you have to finagle here and there. And this is, I'll tell you exactly how I did it. What I did was I put the template on the back of this. It has little studs. You screw the studs into this. It's got little threaded pieces, you know, nuts that are already in the intake or the snorkel here. So you put your threaded pieces in there, and you basically put the template on the back of this, and then you pretty much want to hold this up to the fender, and then what you're going to do is you know, I held it kind of level here where I wanted it. I based it off of where I wanted this, you know, how I wanted this setting. And then you just simply put some tape on the template and tape it on there, and then take this off. But first, the first thing you're going to do before you're able to do that is you're going to have to cut the hole right here and through your fender. It says this requires a 3-inch hole saw. The front part of the tube that comes through here is 3 inches. The back part of the tube is 3.5 inches exactly. So you're going to have to get you a 3.5-inch hole saw for the fender. So you put you a 3.5-inch hole in there. Of course, you know, you do need to mock this up on here with the template before you put the hole in here. So it does sound complicated. Obviously, it's going to be all cattywampus and everything. That's the reason why I told you got to start with the template so you know where you want to put your hole. But then also, if you come under the hood first and decide how you want to run your intake, how you want to run the filter. Me personally, I wanted the filter straight and then just 290s. This is exactly how I pictured this to be for me. So this is exactly how I wanted to do it. And I put the 3.5-inch hole here. Of course, this is a piece of, basically a piece of sheet metal that covers up that hole, and the coupler that comes with the snorkel fits perfectly the 3.5-inch hole. So I mean, there's really no need to put any sealant or nothing around there because it fits really tight in there, so it seals it up pretty good. And I just simply put one rivet in there to hold it. I mean, it's real nice and tight. I mean, the coupler basically holds it in there more than anything. But like I said, you're going to have to start with the template so you know where to put your hole. But like I said, if you figure this part out first, how you want this under here, then that'll give you a better idea of where you want your hole. Now, a lot of people will actually take these things and say they'll cut it here, bring the snorkel down, whatever. You know, a lot of people like to shorten them because they don't like it up that high. Me personally, I like it up that high. So, you know, you could do something like that, and you just simply plastic weld or something, because I mean, it's just basic plastic or whatever. But now, of course, you're looking at this, and this looks like a mess. Of course, it looks like a mess. So what I did here is kind of beyond something that everyone else does. A lot of people leave this exactly the way it is, and there's a gap. I mean, there's probably this much of a gap right here, and it's just all up under there, and you can see the tube, you know, coming in and everything. Looks ridiculous. A lot of people just leave it like that. Well, I didn't want to leave it like that. You know, that's just kind of silly, because, you know, when you're driving in the rain, all that rain is basically getting back here on the metal that you cut here. You know, you don't need all that stuff rusting out. So what I did was, this looks ridiculous right now because I'm not done. This is that spray-in foam insulation for like windows. Yeah, I'll get a close-up. Spray-in window foam insulation. That's what that is. But I'll tell you the reason why I did that. For one, you could spray it all in there, and it completely got all around everything. It filled everything in, and obviously expanded. And then I simply took a like a razor knife, carved it out to where it kind of molds in with the fender, so it doesn't look too bad or whatever. And for temporary, I just painted it black, just some flat black paint, so it kind of blends in a little bit. But what the plan is, I'm going to get some body filler or some putty or something, and go over this, fill in these couple little holes here and there, and then sand it down, make it all nice and smooth. And then I'm going to I'll paint the entire thing all with the same paint. That way it all looks like it's supposed to, so it'll blend in a lot better when I'm done. So, but that's for another day. That's a different project. So it'll do for now. Yeah, it looks ridiculous, all the glue and stuff's around here from the putty. You know, I still got to clean all that up, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. But so yeah, and that's basically it. I mean, it's not really too hard to install. It's just time consuming. And of course, it's got oh shoot, I can't even remember how many studs is in there. But what I did was I put red thread locker on the studs and then threaded them in, and then it has great big washers about like that with lock nuts that go on them, and you tighten them all down. A lot of people just pull the inner fender well down and they go up under there and do it that way. You can do that. That's perfectly fine if you like. If you'd rather do that way, it might be a little easier for you. I'm not too sure. But what I did was I took the whole fender off. Took the whole entire fender off. But I will tell you this. If you decide to go the route I did and take your fender off, tape up your door. And I say that because this right here is from where that bolt goes in, that little flap. And you can see where it scratched it to pieces right there of constantly trying to test fit the fender with the snorkel on there, you know, to match the hole up and everything. And of course, I got a lot of dirt on there, so it hides it. Yeah, it did all that too. So I would honestly say tape up your door if you're going to do that, because you're going to test fit this fender a handful of times, and it was constantly doing that. Even with the door open, closed, it didn't really even matter. And another thing that a lot of people do is they will heat this up. They will heat this up, probably this whole front half from here up. They'll heat it up real hot and take the big clamps and clamp it to the fender and basically mold this to the fender, which, you know, you can, it's just plastic. You can heat it up and mold it to the fender. But I will tell you this, the back side of this on the underside is way stiffer than this. So everyone that I've ever seen that's heated up and molded like that looks like crap, in my opinion. Yeah, I know this looks like crap. I got no room, I know. But I just didn't see being able to mold this without heating up the back as well and having that to mold with it. So I didn't want to fool with that. And besides, I wanted my filter to come straight out like this. If I would have molded this to the fender, obviously it had been pushed in, then the inlet to the snorkel would have been turned and coming in this direction like this. Well, I didn't want this going in that direction, so that's another reason why I decided to do it like that and fool with this whole mess, because I wanted my filter. This is how I envisioned it before I even started. I wanted my filter straight, just like this. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much a breakdown of the install and what you got to do to put a snorkel on your CRV. Now, the million-dollar question, does that thing work? Well, when it comes to swamping your vehicle down into the water where you're going to need a snorkel where the water's high enough, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably never going to know if that's going to work, because that's not my intentions for having a snorkel. I'm not going to do that with my CRV, even though you can see, you know, I've been in some pretty high water and mud here and there. I mean, it's, you know, this thing's all functional. I don't play around. If I want to go play somewhere, well, you know, I'd take it wherever I need to go. And I'm going to tell you, there's some fun stuff up there. As far as my purposes of why I wanted to do it, is for air intake purposes, obviously. Does it work? I'm going to tell you right now, snorkel versus no snorkel with this regular ram tube filter that I had, night and day difference. I kid you not, night and day difference. Like pitch black, 12 noon difference. I mean, this thing, I can get on it a little bit, and I kid you not, I have, let's see, what are my tires? 215/75s? I think that's what they are. 215/75 tires, which, you know, on a CRV has no power. Well, it's got enough power to get out of its own way now, and it actually pulls. Yeah, my small lifted, a little bit bigger tire CRV actually pulls when I get on it. It's the most amazing thing I've ever, I didn't think it would work that good, but obviously when you're getting fresh air from clear up here and, you know, in the cooler temperatures and everything outside, I mean, that is excellent on these engines. Was it worth it? All the trouble, the 3 weeks it took me to do the snorkel deal. Well, in 3 weeks mainly because this, the air into this filter was 2 weeks late. It was 2 weeks late getting to me, so that's the biggest reason why it took me 3 weeks to do this, because 2 weeks was waiting on that. So, but was it worth all the trouble? Absolutely. Would I recommend putting a snorkel on these things? Absolutely, because like I said, night and day difference, it makes a world of difference, and it feels really good driving this thing. Now, it actually has a little bit of power. It's still a pansy freaking engine compared to my fully built H22 that I went from before I had this, obviously, but it actually runs pretty decent for what it is now. Finally, it actually runs decent, and it has enough power to get up out of its own way. And of course, out on the road, you know, 60, 70, 75 mile an hour, it's even better. I mean, it just, this old thing, it's breathing good, it's exhaling well, and it's running good. And I think this thing, if this thing had a smile on its face because I doctored it up, it's definitely smiling. So I know everything else under here is ugly, but you can't really worry about looks when this is a functional off-road ravaged machine. But that's pretty much it. That's going to wrap up this video. I hope this helps. I hope this encourages you to put a snorkel on your vehicle, and once you do, I hope you enjoy it, because it is really something else, and it's nice, and I like the way it looks.